Hey there, today I'm going to be telling you about the one thing that impacted me the most and caused me to want to homeschool. Well, as you know, I have been homeschooling for about almost 28 years now, and I have had 8 kids go through my home and through my homeschool. 4 that were my biological kids and 4 that we have adopted. And as a matter of fact, we are still homeschooling 2. The thing that impacted me the most and caused me to want to homeschool is when one of my sons was in kindergarten and I was told that he did not know how to write, that he did not know how to spell his name, and that he could not use scissors. That's what it was, use scissors. And now I was really taken aback by that because I know that I had actually trained him and taught him to do that. The reason why I was able to train my son to do that is because at the time I had a daycare in my home. And I had a neighbor that lived right next door to me, and she was a longtime daycare provider and a person who taught preschool. And so a lot of the ideas and a lot of the tactics that I used to educate my kindergartner, well, pre-kindergartner, were given to me from her. She actually gave me sheets of paper, worksheets that she cut out and she made up to teach those kids that were in her preschools. Many of those worksheets were scissor exercises where the child had to pick up the page, take the scissors and cut like a zigzag line or a squiggly line or just a straight line. So I knew that my son knew knew how to use scissors. So needless to say, they called me in to the school for a conference. I went, and this is what the teacher told me about my son. And I was like, that's confusing because I know that I have trained him to do these things. So I don't understand why you're saying he can't do it. And then as I was sitting there, she called my son up and said, come here, son. Well, of course she didn't call him son, but I'm trying not to say the names, but she said, come here, young man. And she gave him a piece of paper with a straight line on it and some scissors. She said, cut this line for me. He took that paper out of her hand and took the scissors and zoomed across that line and cut it just as clear as day. And she looked so surprised. And she looked at me and said, well, he doesn't do that when he's here. And that told me right there that my son, not only could he do it, that he chose when he wanted to do it and when he didn't, which meant either he was bored in her class and she was a boring teacher, or he was just being disobedient because he didn't feel like he had to listen to her. So I knew that was a problem. I knew that I would have to do something different. But at this time, I didn't really know much about homeschooling. I had met only one person in my life at that time who homeschooled, and it was a young lady who lived in my same apartment complex, and I would see her at the playground with her children as I was walking my son to the bus stop, which I dreaded every step of the way. I did not want to put my son in a public school, but I didn't know anything else. So one day I ended up stopping at the playground with my youngest son, and I struck up a conversation with this lady, and I learned about homeschooling. She told me about what homeschooling was and what she did and how she got her curriculum and how long she's been doing it. And I was like, wow, I could never do that. This woman was a white woman. I was thinking in my mind, dang, that's what white people do. I don't think I can do that, because no one in my life that I knew homeschooled. And at this time I was a baby Christian, but I did not have a church family yet. So I really did not know anyone who homeschooled. But God fixed it so that another time, as the year went on, that school year went on, because my son was in kindergarten, I happened to be walking into a Safeway, just unloading the car with my 2 young sons, getting ready to go into a Safeway. And this woman walked up to me, just talking to me, saying, you need to homeschool your kids. Your children will not get a fair deal in this school system. I have all sorts of paperwork that I can give them. Now, this is a stranger. I did not know this woman, but she was telling me all of this stuff. And again, she was a white lady. And so I was thinking in my mind, this woman is crazy. That's what I'm thinking in my mind. And so she gave me all this information. She gave me numbers to people who homeschooled, and she gave me numbers to people who were doing homeschooling on a shoestring budget, as she put it. Because one of my objections was, I can't afford to homeschool. How can I buy school books? What are you talking about? I can't afford to do that. I don't have a college degree. How can I homeschool my kids? That lady had an answer for every objection that I made, and she gave me literature, phone numbers, and paperwork. I know today that was a godsend, because that's how I knew God wanted me to homeschool, because every objection that I had, she had an answer for it. And needless to say, I called those numbers on that paper that she gave me, and I, arranged with some of those families to come and visit with them and sit down and see what they were doing. And those people were so open, so loving, so caring, invited me and my 2 boys into their homes. I met their children. I saw how they homeschooled. They were relaxed. I was expecting it to be something like a weird environment, but it wasn't. These children were normal, well-rounded children who were able to sit there and speak with me as, like, had to carry on a normal conversation. They didn't seem to be weird. They didn't seem to be afraid. It was amazing. Anyway, so my son finished out that year, and then that same year actually, we found a church. And praise the Lord, it turned out that church, I say over half of the people in that church homeschooled. I didn't know they had homeschoolers there. And it turned out that even the pastor was a homeschooling. So I was like, God is just putting all these homeschoolers in my life now. And guess what? Not only half of the people in that church were homeschoolers, half of the people that homeschooled in that church were Black families, people of color. That showed me right there, wow, this is awesome. And I got to meet many of those people. They took me up under their wing. They showed me what to do. They told me how they did it. I got built friendships with many of them and learned from those people the beauty of homeschooling. So, there's many reasons that I have why I homeschool. And over the years, I thought about this a lot and really, truly appreciate the opportunity that I've had to be a homeschooler, to be able to homeschool my children, to bring all of my children through from the beginning to the end. My four biological kids, only one has experienced the public school system, and that was the beginning of my career, my homeschooling career. But none of the other ones ever went, not to a public school. I've run into a lot of people who think that homeschoolers are weird, which really baffles me, because all of this stuff that's happening that we see all the time in this world are not really perpetrated by homeschoolers. And you don't see homeschoolers walking around trying to be something that they're not, like animals or, anything like that. And I'm not trying to be mean. I'm not trying to be rude to people. I'm just pointing out a fact. I just wish that people would look around before they say homeschool people are weird. We're not weird. We just choose to be. We want to order our steps and decide what it is we want to do with our children. That's the difference. That is the difference right there. That I want to decide who's around my child. I want to decide what books my children read. Not to say that they can't read, because my kids are avid readers. They read everything. Now, there are certain books that I will look through to see what's there, because you don't know what's in these books. A school setting where kids can be influenced by other children. The same thing can happen in books. I have perused through pages of certain books and found all sorts of sketchy stuff. So it's not that they can't read, it's just that I sort of monitor what they're reading and who's the author and what's the mindset. Like my daughter happened to be reading a series, I think it was about dragons or something like that. And then she got up to the 5th book to where it's starting to talk about same-sex marriage. 2 of the dinosaurs are 2 males or 2 females. I'm like, what the heck? Why would they put this in a book? Anyway, so what I'm saying is we don't choose everything they read, but we do look over some of the stuff that they're exposed to. So I guess what I'm saying is that particular thing that happened to my son changed my whole mindset, my whole perspective on education. It introduced me to something, to a method that I never knew existed. And that method was homeschooling. And that method has served us well. We have, like I said, we have educated. There are 8 kids that we have brought through homeschooling. So far, 5 of them have graduated from our homeschool and have gone to college. 3 out of that 5 have graduated from college and they're finishing. They're thriving and living their lives. I have one who is just finishing up the 2nd year of their college. Then I have another one that decided after a while that college wasn't the thing for them. And that's just fine with me. My goal was to get them through homeschooling, through high school, and that's what we did, and to equip them with enough education and enough skills that they can go through any college that they apply to. And that also, we have accomplished that. So that's just a little thing I want to tell you about, something that impacted me so profoundly. And it all started when my child was being pointed out as if they had a problem, as if something was wrong with them, and I knew that was not true. Oh, and the other thing, what I forgot to say is that same child, the school directed me to take that child to Child Find, which is basically a place where they can be evaluated. And if I did not comply, if I did not take that child to this evaluation, then they could report me to social services and saying that I'm neglecting my child, because these people in the school were saying that my child needed to go to be evaluated. But I knew that was wrong. I knew there was nothing wrong with my child, but he was a rambunctious little boy. He was smart, but what's wrong with that? Nothing. I couldn't send my child to someone else and have them try to discipline them. I had to be the one. That's another thing. I had to be the one. So those two things impacted me profoundly. And that's why I'm still homeschooling today. And well, I hope you enjoyed that. If you want to homeschool, if you are new to homeschooling and you want to start your homeschool and you have young kids, click the link down below to find my course. I created a course just for the new homeschooling people, parents who want to start, but they don't know how. And they just need someone to guide them through. That's what my course is about. So once again, my name is Adrienne Brown, and I am a homeschool mom of 8. Like I said, don't forget, like and leave a comment and click the link down below if you need help starting homeschooling. Okay, thank you. Bye.